Mm. Hello, welcome students. So today we are going to make a quick revision of structural organization in animals. And you know that kingdom Animalia shows lot of variation. That is, uh, in the case of porifera, we have in the case of porifera, it shows cellular grade of organization. Then you can see tissue grade of organization in the case of Cnidaria and Ctenophora. Similarly, the organ grade of organization that can be seen in the case of Platyhelminthes onwards. So organs are present from Platyhelminthes to Chordata, all the groups. But there is an increasing complexity from one group to another group. But the basic types of tissues. In this chapter, we are going to make a quick revision of what are the different tissues, a brief study of earthworm, frog, and later class we'll see about a cockroach. Now, so you know that a group of cells will form a tissue, and a group of tissues for a common function will give rise to an organ. All the organs for one common function will give rise to organ system. Thus, an organism is a group of many organ systems. And a key point for all these things to happen or develop or evolve is formation of mesoderm. Without mesoderm, you cannot see the development of organs or organ systems. Thus, there is an increasing complexity of organization of animals from lower phyla to higher phyla. You see the arrangement of phyla itself is representing their evolutionary status from simple to complex. Okay. Then, coming to the four basic types of tissues or epithelial tissue, connective tissue, muscular tissue, nervous tissue. These are the four basic types of tissues, right? And epithelial tissue can arise from any of the three germ layers. So epithelial tissue arises from any of the three germ layers, means ectoderm, endoderm or mesoderm. And they will be avascular in nature. So they do not show blood supply. And they rest on a basement membrane. They rest on basement membrane. So that is general secreted by epithelial tissues, and the underlying connective tissue will produce that basement membrane, and they get nourishment through that because these are avascular tissues. And epithelial tissue mainly forms covering, and cells are closely packed. So closely arranged cells. So we can see closely arranged cells, and these closely arranged cells with little intercellular substance. And here another important thing is they are held together by junctions. The epithelial tissues are held together by various types of junctions. You know that animal tissues will have uh, adhering junctions which are holding the cells together, tight junctions which prevent any kind of leakage uh, among the cells or between the cells, we can say, and gap junctions which promote intercellular transport of substances. But structurally, you observe there will be three basic types. One is squamous, cuboidal, and columnar. So, thin flat cells you can see squamous. Cube-like cells with all sides equal, cuboidal. Tall pillar-like cells, we can call it columnar. So that is three basic types. But we can say the epithelial tissue can also be differentiated into simple epithelium, then compound epithelium. So what will be the basic thing? Simple means it is made up of single layer. When it is made up of only one layer, then we call it a simple epithelium. Then, if it is made up of many layers, then we call it compound epithelium. Compound epithelium means many layers. So you look into here, the simple epithelium, single layer, all the cells are resting on basement membrane in simple epithelium. You keep that in mind. They can help in functions like secretion, absorption, diffusion, filtration, or sometimes sensations, but not protective layer like compound epithelium. Right. The simple epithelium consists of the simple squamous. So when we observe this simple squamous, this is found in the alveoli, then Bowman's capsule, then coelomic epithelium, and then endothelium. Innermost layer of blood vessels is called endothelium. Then coming to simple cuboidal, cube-like cells but one layer. So PCT, what is meant by PCT? Proximal convoluted tubule. DCT, distal convoluted tubule. These are present in nephrons. Then germinal epithelium lining the gonads, right? And even thyroid follicles, right? And column-like cells, tall pillar-like cells are called columnar, and this will be present in the inner lining of stomach and intestine with the mucus secreting goblet cells which help in protection. So we also use the term mucosa. Then ciliated epithelium, it can be either columnar or it can be cuboidal. So various places where you can see is the ventricles of brain, then central canal of spinal cord, then bronchioles, then oviduct, germinal epithelium part. So these are the regions, right? Now pseudostratified. So pseudostratified epithelium appears like stratified, means multi-layered, but actually simple, and all cells are resting on basement membrane. Then trachea, that is mammals. Here all the examples are related to human beings. Then ciliated, pseudostratified. Here epididymis, part of reproductive system, is non-ciliated pseudostratified. Now coming to compound epithelium. In compound epithelium, one variety is stratified squamous keratinized. Compound epithelium can help in protection, either mechanical, chemical, osmotic protection like this. It can be seen in the epidermis of skin. You know that skin has epidermis and dermis. Dermis is made up of connective tissue. Then stratified squamous, non-keratinized. Then buccal cavity, pharynx, esophagus and vagina. So here stratified squamous non-keratinized is related to moist surface. Keratinized is related to dry surfaces. That is the point. Then stratified cuboidal. Stratified means many layered, but outer layer is squamous. We call it stratified squamous. Outer layer is cuboidal, we call it stratified cuboidal. Now, the larger ducts of salivary glands and ducts of glands like sweat glands, pancreatic particularly should say exocrine part of pancreas. Now, transitional. Transitional is observed in urinary bladder, ureters, urethra. So, in all these three, what is common related to urinary system? Transitional means it is uh, transitional between single layer and many layers. And when it is in a contracted state, it appears multi-layer. When it is in relaxed state, it appears less number of layers. So that's why we call it transitional. These are all covering epithelium, right? So that is covering epithelium. But it can, epithelium tissue can also form glandular epithelium. So the glands may be, unicellular glands. Other thing is multicellular or unicellular glands, endocrine glands and exocrine glands. You observe here, unicellular glands associated with gut, that is goblet cells, and you observe many other places, multicellular pancreas and other things, salivary glands, liver, etc. These are all multicellular glands. So they may have duct or without duct. Ductless glands are called endocrine glands, and glands with the ducts are called exocrine. Then coming to connective tissue. Now, so connective tissue uh, arises from mesoderm. So here the important characters are mesodermal in origin, then the matrix part is more amount of matrix is present and mostly vascular except cartilage. So it will be mesodermal, matrix is abundant, vascular, cells are not closely arranged, widely separated. So it is helping because connecting various organs, so it has to be having widely separated cells. But it shows a lot of variation, and most of these connective tissues will have cells, and the other thing is matrix. This matrix consists of some ground substance. So what do we mean by ground substance? It is the like tissue fluid and other things, and sometimes fibers. But blood and lymph, remember, blood and lymph do not have any fibers. Blood and lymph do not have any fibers. Right? That is the thing. Now, overall classification we'll see. So, the loose connective tissue. Connective tissue can be broadly divided into uh, connective tissue proper and specialized tissues. There are different ways of classifying this, don't worry, because you can say in one way of classification, connective tissue proper, then uh, the skeletal connective tissue, which includes bone and cartilage, fluid connective tissue, which includes blood and lymph. But here, if you see another way, alternative way, is loose connective tissue, dense connective tissue. Together, we can also call them connective tissue proper. The loose consists of areolar, adipose. And we can also say one more variety here. reticular, right? And dense includes dense regular, dense irregular, or we can say it can be dense regular, dense irregular, and the regular means it includes tendons and ligaments, and irregular means it is present in various places. Then we can also have white fibers or yellow fibers. Yellow elastic connective tissue is present in certain places. Now, so areolar, adipose, reticular, three basic types loose because fluid is more, fibers are less. In dense connective tissue, another simple way is to say dense regular, dense irregular, and simply directly here also you can say elastic tissue. So like this, three types. Okay. Now, so that is the thing. Specialized tissue. Specialized connective tissue means it includes skeletal tissue, vascular tissue. So here generally we don't include reticular here, and the skeletal includes cartilage and bone, right? So here the typical variety of connective tissue is actually areolar type. The areolar connective tissue contains different varieties. Here it will contain the different types of cells, and for example the areolar tissue will show presence of fibroblasts, mast cells, uh, plasma cells. Fibroblasts means those which produce, so fibroblast cells, and these fibroblast cells produce fibers. Then mast cells secrete histamine, bradykinin like substances which will be produced in at the time of inflammation. Then adipocytes. So these adipocytes store fat droplets or fat globules, right? And plasma cells, and plasma cells are nothing but descendants of B lymphocytes. And so these basic types, but there are certain cells like macrophages. The macrophages are phagocytic cells. Macrophages are phagocytic cells, and you can also say some of them histiocytes. Histiocytes means they are descendants of or modified macrophages. Can be only difference is histiocytes are tissue fixed, macrophages are wandering, moving. Mobile are macrophages and tissue fixed are histiocytes. So, but fibers, we can also see various fibers here. The fibers include white fibers and yellow fibers. The white fibers are thick and fibrous and they give support, and yellow fibers are elastic and branched. Some variety are called reticular fibers. So where organs are connected with other things. So when skin is connected with underlying tissue, uh, you can find areolar tissue. Skin is connected with underlying tissues. Then various organs are connected. One of the most abundantly present connective tissue proper is areolar tissue. Adipose tissue, second variety of connective tissue proper is adipose. So this adipose tissue we can see in the inner parts of skin. It forms uh, below the dermis. You can see adipose tissue. In whales and dolphins, a thick fatty layer called blubber is present. Blubber is also representing the adipose tissue, insulating the body. Then, and reticular connective tissue is also a connective tissue proper. This can be seen in hemopoietic tissues like bone marrow. Liver and spleen, they may also show reticular tissue. So that is about connective tissue proper. Then fluid connective tissue in detail you'll be studying in circulatory system when you study human systems, right? That is in circulatory system. But uh, dense connective tissue, as we have seen in the chart just in our discussion, that is dense connective tissue is regular, irregular, elastic. Elastic means, for example, external ear pinna. External ear pinna is elastic. Then elastic cartilage. And here you can say vocal cords are best examples for elastic connective tissue. Then second variety, dense, regular, white fibers are present regularly arranged, and that is examples of tendons and ligaments. Bone connected to muscle or muscle connected to bone by tendon, and bone is connected to bone by ligaments. Thus there are tendons and ligaments, that is dense regular type. Dense irregular fibers arranged in different directions can help to withstand pressure and is found in the inner layer of dermis, perichondrium, periosteum, etc. Right? That is about dense tissues. Now, so in this connective tissue, you can see bone and cartilage, two important types of tissues, supporting tissues, and this bone can be compact and spongy. So you know that bone is the main supporting skeletal framework for human body, and it can be spongy bone or compact bone basing on some basic structure. There will be concentric ring-like structures present in the bone structure, and bone will be of mammals have specialized components called Haversian systems. So mammalian bone is specialized in having Haversian system. If entire bone is, if you take a transverse section like this, centrally there is a marrow cavity, and there will be various units, structural units in mammalian bone, which are all called as Haversian systems, and that is a specialized feature of mammal. So as it is just a revision program, we cannot have time for detailed discussion of these structural details, right? So but okay, so that is and cartilage, as we have seen, cartilage is present to throughout life in certain animals like fishes, chondrichthyes, cartilaginous fishes, cyclostomes, they have cartilage throughout life. In our body, skeleton is mainly made up of bone, but certain regions we have cartilage. And there are three basic types of cartilages: hyaline cartilage, fibrous cartilage, calcified cartilage. So hyaline cartilage is one of the soft or delicate type, and this hyaline cartilage, it can be seen in places like we can say it is forming coastal cartilage. So that is a place where it is ribs are attached to sternum, that is coastal cartilage, and articular cartilage, etc. And fibrous cartilage is seen in places like intervertebral disc. Intervertebral discs. So intervertebral disc. So that is the place, right? And calcified cartilage is rare. Then one more is in mammals you cannot see calcified, that is rare type, but elastic cartilage, best example is pinna. So don't get confused with elastic connective tissue. It is a type of connective tissue proper. But here pinna is external ear pinna, eustachian chew. These are all examples of elastic cartilage, right? So elastic uh, cartilage can be seen in these places, right? So these are the various types of connective tissues. Now, coming to earthworm, we'll make a brief study of earthworm. And earthworm is an annelid burrowing animal, nighttime active, so you can call it nocturnal. If an animal is active during nighttime, it can be called nocturnal, and burrowing animals are also called fossorial, and earthworm shows metameric segmentation. The phylum Annelida means annuli, ring-like segments, and it will have around 100 to 120 segments, and body is divided into preclitellar, clitellar, and postclitellar. So means preclitellar means before clitellum. So here uh, systems, few important things will make a quick revision. First one, digestive system. So in digestive system, if you see, so the first segment is having mouth. Now, what about the next one? Next one is buccal cavity. So the buccal cavity will be in segments from 1 to 3 segments. Pharynx will be seen in 4th segment. Esophagus from 5 to 7 segments. Then gizzard is a modified form of esophagus present in 8th segment. Then let us see what is interesting about the stomach. So stomach is present in segments 9 to 14. So in 9 to 14 segments it is present. And stomach contains calciferous glands that help to neutralize acids in the soil. Contains humic acid. Along with this food, lot of soil enters, so that it has to be neutralized. Then comes intestine. From 15th segment to last segment, it is intestine. In this, first part is prettiflozzolar, which is present from 15th to 26th. And from 26th onwards, what you can see is typhlozoal region. What is typhlozoal? If you take a small section, you will find that there is a typhlozoal. So this is typhlozoal is nothing but it is a fold in the intestine. So the fold in intestine is known as a typhlozoal, right? Typhlozoal is a fold, and within the lumen you can see that intestinal fold, right? Then here lymph glands are present from 26th onwards, and but typhlozoal exactly segments is from 26 to last excluding 23 or 25 segments. So in this diagram it has not shown entire part, but remember in old NCERT book there is a wrong position of segment given, that 26 to 33 or 34, that is wrong. 26th to around you can say if there are 100 segments, last 25 have to exclude, that is post-typhlozoal. So like this, earthworm digestion, elementary canal is straight, complete, and muscular. Coming to the circulatory system of earthworm. Now, in this circulatory system, you observe that there are major blood vessels like dorsal blood vessel in all segments, then another from anterior to posterior but on dorsal side, and similarly on the ventral side there is a major blood vessel which is called a ventral blood vessel. These dorsal and ventral are getting connected by hearts, two types of hearts, lateral hearts and lateral esophageal hearts. And lateral hearts will be seen in 7 and 9 segments, and lateral esophageal will be present in 12 and 13 segments, right? So lateral hearts in 7 and 9 segments. So lateral hearts in 7 and 9. Lateral esophageal in 12 and 13 segments. And similarly, there will be anterior loops present, right? So these anterior loops are connecting the lateral end. This anterior loops they can be seen in segments 10 and 11 segments. So they are interconnecting lateral esophageal and supraesophageal. So what is lateral esophageal? This part is lateral esophageal and this blood vessel is supraesophageal. These two are interconnected by anterior lobes. There are commissural blood vessels which are connecting dorsal and ventral. So closed circulatory system, blood flowing in blood vessels only, and these are the major blood vessels, right? Then excretion in earthworm is carried by different types of nephridia. There will be 3 varieties of nephridia. The 3 varieties of nephridia are pharyngeal nephridia, then integumentary nephridia, and then septal nephridia. These are the 3 types. So pharyngeal nephridia will be present in segments like 4 in segments Right. And in this, we can see pharyngeal nephridia present in 4, 5, 6 segments. So 4, 5, 6 segments. Integumentary nephridia from 3 to last segment. Septal nephridia present from 15 to last segment. Septal nephridia will be present almost in all the segments. So pharyngeal nephridia will actually they have nothing to do with the process of digestion because they are close to the pharynx. They are called as pharyngeal nephridia. That is also the place where the blood glands are also present, and these some nephridia open into the gut. For example, in this both pharyngeal nephridia and septal nephridia open into the gut, so they are enteronephric. And integumentary nephridia present from third to last segment, they open directly to outside, so they are exonephric type. Then coming to the reproductive system of earthworm, and this so right, then that is reproductive system. It is a bisexual organism, male and female reproductive organs present in same segments. And in this, so male reproductive system consists of testes, and these testes will be present in 10 and 11 segments. So testes are here, they present testes, and in this segment also, both segments, 10 and 11 segments. Testes will be surrounded with testis sacs. And seminal vesicles will be, so remember, testes will be present in 10 and 11, and seminal vesicles will be present in 11 and 12. Seminal vesicles will collect and store temporarily the sperms, right? And ovary will be found attached, ovaries will be found attached in the 13th segment, but they will be attached to 12 by 13th septum. So from ovary, oviducts arise and female genital aperture is present single on 14th segment. Male genital apertures will be one pair in 18th segment, but they combinedly open as in male genital aperture. What happens is prostate gland, there is another accessory gland called prostate gland. So prostate gland duct combines with this vas deferens and forms a prostatic spermatic duct, and that combinedly opens out. So fertilization will be uh, external fertilization and cross fertilization. External fertilization takes place in the cocoon formed by clitellum. You know that clitellum present between 14, 15, 16 segments. And after copulation is over, it starts secreting a girdle-like structure which gets separated from body, into which the sperms and eggs are released. So fertilization takes place from that, or within that, and 4 to 20 young ones may be formed, but on average there will be 4 young ones developing from that. So earthworm is popularly known as friend of farmer, and nervous system has double ventral solid nerve cord, and brain is on above the pharynx, suprapharyngeal, Right. Coming to frog. The frog, frog is so coming to frog. So frog belong to amphibia and order Anura. Then here the body of frog is divided into head and trunk. Then head is containing various sense organs. Then trunk divided having forelimbs and hind limbs. Forelimbs are shorter, hind limbs are long. Hind limbs are provided with a web between the toes. And forelimbs will have 4 fingers and hind limbs will have 5 fingers. And frog is one of the best example of amphibious, means it can live on land and also in water. Right. So it is generally like amphibious in nature, but based on nature, it is active during daytime, so you can call it diurnal. And based on food habits, you can call it carnivorous. So it is carnivorous in, and when as it is poikilodom, not able to maintain constant body temperature, so what it will be doing is it is going to hibernation or estivation when conditions are not suitable. Right. Then coming to quickly through some of the systems, the digestive system. The digestive system of frog is complete with a slightly coiled, not very much coiled. Remember, the type of alimentary canal depends upon the food habits. Frog, is carnivorous. So carnivorous animals have less coiled gut, whereas herbivorous animals have highly coiled gut. Now it starts with the mouth buccal cavity. Now, so first part is mouth, then buccopharyngeal cavity, next esophagus, after esophagus stomach, then small intestine, then large intestine, and then opening out by cloaca. So intestine, large intestine means you can say rectum. Rectum represents large intestine and opening out by cloaca. So here first the esophagus region, then esophagus leading to stomach, stomach leading to small intestine, small intestine leading to rectum, rectum opens out by cloaca. And there are 2 important digestive glands. One is liver, the other one is pancreas. Liver is the largest gland, and the gallbladder will be temporarily storing the bile juice. These are all various visceral organs. Teeth will be present, but teeth are present on upper jaw. And homodont type, only one type of teeth are present, so we can call it a homodont. And frog respiration can carry through lungs, skin, and buccopharyngeal cavity. So it has a lungs, skin, and buccopharyngeal cavity. Then respiration, when it is in hibernation and estivation, only skin is used. In larval stages, gills are used. In adults, all these 3 are used, and skin is very important. That's why skin of frog is called master of all treats. Now, in hibernation situation, only skin. In water, also only skin. At the times, all these 3. So like this. Now, it has to use buccal cavity even for otherwise using that. Now, lungs. As far as circulatory system, it has a closed circulatory system with the three-chambered heart and two atria and two ventricles. So, what is present uh, dorsally and ventrally is that is sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. There is a structure called sinus venosus and conus arteriosus. Now, this is ventricle and this is sinus venosus, and sinus venosus formed by two precavals and one postcaval. Then there is dorsally we can see sinus venosus. Sinus venosus will be dorsal. There will be single ventricle. Because of single ventricle, what happens? Blood received by both auricles get mixed in that ventricle, so it becomes mixed blood, and it pumps through conus arteriosus. Then conus arteriosus then later give rise to so that conus arteriosus is the one which gives rise to blood vessels. So it forms the pulmonary arch, systemic arch, uh, like that. So pulmocutaneous, systemic, and carotid, these are all arising from the conus arteriosus, two main branches. Each one will again give rise to three, like this. So on right side, even though it is receiving from various parts, left side receiving from lungs, both of them get mixed in the ventricle. Then that is about the circulatory system. Then coming to the male reproductive system, because the excretory system is closely linked with this. Mesonephric kidneys are present and they excrete urea. And in the brain, they don't have much developed. Forebrain, midbrain, hindbrain are present. Well developed sense organs are eyes and tympan. These are well organized. Skin contains various receptors like touch receptors, smell receptors are there near the nostrils, like that. But well defined means eyes and ears. Coming to reproductive system and excretory, both are closely linked. This is related to male frog. How we can make difference between male frog and female externally? Male frog are characterized by presence of vocal cords and ambulatory pads. Right. So testes are attached over the kidneys by mesorchium, and from that what arises is so from this vasa efferentia is arising. So testis contains seminiferous tubules, and these seminiferous tubules give rise to vasa efferentia, which will open into Bidder's canal. There will be a specialized canal called a Bidder's canal that will be present here, right? So Bidder's canal present within the kidney. From that Bidder's canal, it leads to collecting ducts that forms urinogenital duct. Male particularly contains urinogenital duct, and this urinogenital duct finally opens into cloaca. So cloacal aperture. Cloaca is common for genital and this one in the case of male, but not in the case of female. So coming to female reproductive system. So ovaries here, this is ovary attached by mesovarium and oviducts arising by ovibuccal funnels. This part is funnel. So into the coelom the eggs are released, from which it is collected by oviduct. Now the ovaries will release mesolistal eggs, moderate amount of yolk. From kidneys the ducts arising are called ureters, and oviducts slightly enlarged in posterior region. This will be called ovisac, and ultimately they also open into cloacal region. So fertilization in frog is external, and group of eggs are called here you can use two terms, sperm and milk. So group of eggs are called sperm, and a group of sperms are called milk, and development is external and indirect development. So drastic changes will occur during development. So such changes are called metamorphic changes, and frog has metamorphosis, progressive, slowly larval characters are lost, and adult advanced characters are acquired. So tadpole develops in water, and adult develops lives on land. So actually speaking, earthworm and frog they are given in NCERT book. So we are making a brief description of that. But tissues, it is better to go little bit deeper than the book. Examples all are not mentioned, but safe side different systems you will again come across with the examples. So I try to make a quick revision of students for whom already one round of syllabus is completed. So it helps the Sri Gayatri students for revision. Have a good day.